having the number 2 pick it's exciting for us to have the number 2 pick, but it's also at the same time there's no pressure where the young man is picked. I think it's unfair to ask a guy just because you're picked number 2 overall, you have to come in and you're the face of our franchise and you're the leader. That's unfair to the guy, right? And I'm not going to put that type of weight on the shoulders of whoever that is that we pick. That's not what we're anticipating. That's not what we're expecting them to do. We're expecting them to come in, be a great teammate, work hard, right? Be deliberate in what you're doing, and have a mindset to get better each and every day. We have leaders in our locker room already, so I'm not asking a guy to come in and be this savior for our team. I'm asking a guy to come in and just put his head down and just work.
Sounds a lot like what we were talking about with Jeff Okudah.
Right.
You get a lot of pressure on you as that top 5 pick.
Yep.
And DeMeco Ryans, first-year coach of the Houston Texans, already trying to reduce the pressure in advance for whoever has the honor and privilege of being the second overall pick in the draft and being invited to join one of the most dysfunctional football operations in football, but which is at least trying to turn it around with the hire of DeMeco Ryans. And I think he's saying exactly the right things. And it almost sounds like they're – and Peter King, I think, raised this point in Football Morning in America. Is it possible if Bryce Young is the first overall pick by the Carolina Panthers that the Texans just don't take a quarterback?
Gosh.
That happen? That be?
I would be.
At least not with the second overall pick. Take one later.
Man, I don't know. They do have pick number 12, so they have that option to think about that, certainly. I'd be shocked if that happened. I mean, my thoughts there, and I know I'm not – standard protocol with seeing C.J. Stroud as the top quarterback over Bryce Young. But, man, you wait till you don't make it happen right then you're risking a lot of stuff that could happen to where you go, okay, well, you're starting Davis Mills again at quarterback. Oh, our quarterback's not playing good enough. Well, I don't really care. You passed up your chance at 2 to take whatever quarterback was available. So I would be shocked by that, Mike. And C.J. Stroud, in a lot of ways, again, I just think about him and, what he could do in that offense. I think he'd be a great fit. I do. I think that's going to be a little bit the 49ers, the Shanahan fit there, right? And I think C.J. Stroud, he's got a quick release. He's going to be a very good play-action passer. He's got a strong arm that way. So I would expect if Bryce Young's won, it's C.J. Stroud too. And honestly, Mike, I wondered all along. I wondered the opposite with them a little bit. If C.J. Stroud went 1, again, my days in New England and Nick Caserio being there, small quarterback like that was a no-no, like negative Ghost Rider. So I had those questions a little bit. But I'm guessing Nick Caserio's over that, and a lot of people are in the NFL, but I'd be surprised if they didn't go quarterback at 2, Mike.
Davis Mills, Case Keenum, and E.J. Perry are the quarterbacks currently on the roster. Of the 3, I'd put Keenum out there. I'm still a believer in Keenum after what I saw him do for the Vikings in 2017. I know it's been 6 years ago, but I feel like he really hasn't gotten a fair shake since then, and I would play him, all due respect to Davis Mills, ahead of Mills. But when you consider you've got the 12 pick, you've got 12 total selections, there's a lot you can do to move up and down and all around. They could just dangle that second overall pick to one of the other teams in the top 10 looking to get a quarterback. So you slide back. You take a guy maybe lower on everyone else's board, but secretly higher on your board.
Sure.
This is where it becomes impossible to really discern broader draft strategy because every team has its own viewpoint, its own decision makers. It's 32 snowflakes that all come together into one clump, and we see how it all plays out. But it very well could be. And I just got the impression as we were listening to DeMeco Ryans that they're trying to lay the foundation for a non-quarterback to come in, because how do you come in as a pass rusher at number 2, as a corner? Not that they would go corner at number 2, but the point we were making earlier about Mario Williams and Jeff Okudah, how hard it is to stand out as a great player when you aren't somebody who's generating statistics that people can look at and say, hey, that's a great player. Week in and week out, great player, great impact. Let's buy his jersey. Let's make him the focal point of our praise and our attention and our admiration. I just got a vibe as he was explaining that there's a real possibility they don't go quarterback at number 2.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying with the vibe there and what he was saying. I kind of took it more like he was like, hey, wait, I came from San Francisco and we're into our team. It was never just quarterback. We're going to play awesome defense and we're going to run the ball. And, I think that's the believer of, his way in the NFL, or at least what I think DeMeco Ryans wants to do. That's more of what I took it. But I certainly understand what you're saying there. And, again, like you said, with all those picks and the 12th pick, there's certainly some wiggle room for some other ways to do this rather than just take the quarterback at 2. We'll see. You're right. I don't know. But I think ultimately would expect them to go whoever is left over from, the Carolina trade, them to take that guy.
What do you think the number one lesson is that DeMeco Ryans learned from his time with the 49ers about how to properly handle or not properly handle the quarterback position?
Oh, that's a good question there. I mean, one, I guess maybe just not make it all about that, or not let that be, such a conversation polarizing issue around the football team at times, right? I think that would probably be the thing. There was just drama or always questions about Jimmy G and, his level of play. And, do the 49ers see it that way? And we heard the 49ers in conversations of, trades, and he's got to play better. And, we draft a quarterback, and it became the thing that overtook their organization. And we're still kind of talking about it because of that issue. So I would think that's part of what the answer is there too, is just to not let that situation or that type of, thing kind of control and make the team polarizing in that way.
Well, and look at it this way, the experience of the last 2 years, the 2 years that Ryans was a defensive coordinator. His first year, they trade up to number 3 and they take Trey Lance. Full investment, 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick, and so far, not much of anything. Last year, with the final selection in the entire process, they get Brock Purdy. I think there's a lesson to be learned there about restraint, about expectations.
Yeah, sure.
And about maybe the value of waiting to get a quarterback versus going all in early just because you feel like you have to. All right, which doesn't belong and why?
Yeah.
That would, but you know what? Good.
Yeah,
I want some curveballs.
Right.
I think this draft is going to be full of curveballs. I think we go into it with an acknowledgement, and Peter King made this point earlier this week in Football Morning in America as well. The mock drafts are all over the place, and none of them are right, and nobody knows this year what's going to happen, and that makes it more fun when it's time to go make the pick. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.